welcome, Alex. And would you like to introduce yourself on kind of your spiritual background and what made you kind of curious about doing past lives and hypnosis?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in past lives. I feel that I am a spiritual person. I don't know a ton about it, but I do like to follow my intuition, and I think that that's very important. And I do believe in reincarnation and past lives. So I was always just very, very curious about exploring that more and also hypnosis, the practice of that. And I thought I would give it a shot and see what came up and just, have space to explore that more.
Yeah. And what were you kind of struggling with, like emotionally and before the session that made you want to give it a try?
Yeah, so I had some blockages around like just feelings around success and self-worth and, falling into that whole kind of people pleasing route. And I wanted to see if there was anything that was holding me back from maybe not this lifetime because I had a feeling like maybe it was attached to that somehow. So that were some major themes I wanted to explore in the session. And I think some really interesting stuff came up around that. So glad I did.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your specific phobia and the fear of Egypt a little bit too?
Yeah. So, one of the main reasons I wanted to explore this past life session was because I had a very strange and very vivid and kind of spooky dream about Egypt. And I felt that there was maybe something more there. And I was listening to you speak about things like this, and it seemed to align perfectly for what maybe a past life would be, like still hanging around in this life, rather. And basically, what happened was I woke up and I knew that I had been to Egypt, but I didn't want to return there. So during our session, we explored why that was. And what revealed itself was that I had a past life in Egypt where I was trapped in a chamber and just left there to die, basically. And it created a lot of trauma within my body and I think my emotional state, and it just carried over into this lifetime. And it affected feelings around, feeling like I couldn't express myself because the person who apparently threw me in there was somebody who didn't want to hear my true voice. So now exploring how I feel towards my true voice and why that happened, it's a lot. I'm still integrating a lot of it, but it's very enlightening.
Yeah, and you in that past experience, you were a high up priestess and were kind of like royalty, and you sang in that past life. Maybe it was more spiritual or religious, but and you sing in this incarnation too, which is interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I am a singer in this life, and in that life I was also a singer. And during that lifetime, I used my voice not just to sing, but also to speak up for myself. And during that moment of speaking up for myself is what led to the punishment of being trapped in this room for that's it forever, basically. So now understanding that, you can kind of get a better sense of why that happened and why it shouldn't be applied to your life now. It's not anything to do with you now. It's something in the past. And we also did the energy clearing, which I think helped a lot. Just really fascinating, just the whole thing.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about the energy clearing now that you brought it up. And so, what differences have you noticed since the session? What improvements or things disappearing?
Well, I do feel like I have more of a control over my voice. I feel a little bit more chatty in general, more conversational, and I feel like more of an urge to practice my own vocals because I am a singer. And also, just from like a technical standpoint, for like any singers, I feel that the technique is more immediately within my grasp. And so like the body and the tone and everything, it just seems fuller. It seems more clear.
Yeah, it does. It sounds different. It sounds like more confident since I met you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, that's what I feel. And because it hasn't been so long, it's been like maybe 4 days or so, something like that. Not so I'm definitely still processing everything and trying to notice these small changes. But yeah, it does. I do feel more confident in my voice and just expressing myself in general.
Excellent. And that's great for someone like you as a performer to have that charisma and ability. And was there any additional or unexpected benefits? Did anything unexpected or
I think that there is a sense of calm that came over me, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. In general, I just felt like I could more easily handle the maybe more difficult emotions that you experience on a day to day. I felt it in a sense just like more overall like jovial, if that like yeah, just a calmed, like a peace and just a little bit like happier. I don't know.
excellent. That's wonderful to hear. And what was the can you talk to them about your specific phobia of you told me before the session elevators. You would text your mom or something before you go in an elevator or close
Mhm.
space. What was that like and how is that? What did we
Yeah.
cover?
Yeah, that was so funny because it didn't even register to me that I had that phobia before the session. You said, "Do you have any phobias?" And I was like, "Spiders," which I do have a huge fear of spiders. But the elevator thing didn't even register because it's just such a daily process for me. Like, I don't know, it didn't like seem like a phobia, but it is because every single time I go into an elevator, it doesn't matter where it is, I always text my mom the exact location. So in case I get stuck in this elevator, she'll know where to rescue me. And I do carry snacks with me, like in case sometimes, I'm like, what happens if I get stuck in the elevator and I'm there for an extended period of time? What am I going to drink? What am I going to eat? That immediately comes to me. Sometimes I'll even give my friends snacks if they're like traveling. I'm like, you never know where you're going to get stuck. And so it was just just a belief system that I operated under. It was just so like ingrained. So when I realized that back in time in a past life, I got stuck in this enclosed area, it just immediately clicked because it was that same like fear that would come up when I go into an elevator and I'm like, what happens if I don't make it out? What happens if I'm just stuck in here forever? Which is literally what comes over my head forever. But
Yeah.
when you rationalize that, you're like, you probably won't be stuck in an elevator forever because eventually somebody is going to realize the elevator isn't working. They'll come save you. But in my mind, it doesn't work like that. I really do feel like I might be stuck in this elevator like indefinitely.
Which was what happened in the past life. The punishment was to be trapped there. So that's what happens. We hold on to some of these traumas, especially a death scene with an emotional charge, gets carried over, and that's would explain a lot.
Yeah, which is just so fascinating that it didn't click until that moment when I realized that those two feelings were the same. So I haven't been in an elevator since our session, but I'm just wondering if I'll feel more safe going up into a brand new elevator. I don't know.
Well, we'll see if you do, and yeah, let me know.
Yeah.
And so some people, what was who don't know what hypnosis is like, is it like a guided meditation? How would you explain like the experience? Did you see visions or was it a knowing or what was your experience like?
Well, I have never done hypnosis before, so this is my first time, and I would say it felt exactly almost like a guided meditation, where you're just in a very comfortable place and you let your mind just kind of calm down and you listen to your voice and it just kind of takes you on a journey. And through that journey, you're able to really rest inside of your mind, or I don't know if it is your subconscious or your whatever it is, that thinking part of your brain, and see what comes up. And so for me, that was just so helpful because what came up was so linked to so many things that I didn't even know were, holding me back. I didn't know the reason why. And even the elevator thing, like, I'd never even connected that dot. Why am I acting so irrational around elevators like this? Don't know. But yeah, it was a very peaceful and calming process, and I felt kind of rested and rejuvenated afterwards. Everything is just taken step by step, and there's no need to worry, there's no need to be in any state of fear is actually invigorating, and you come out much more peaceful than before. So
Happy to hear that. And where did you find me?
I found you from a podcast I was listening to with Elizabeth Carson. And during the podcast, I remember you were just, explaining some different situations with past lives and certain instances. And it kind of aligned to what I was feeling, what I was going through, like the dream that I had that was kind of freaky and things that might be holding you back. Like, I didn't know it was the closing spaces at the time. I thought it was more, people pleasing tendencies and, different things. But yeah, there was a lot of alignment that was happening while listening to the podcast. And so I thought that I would give this a shot. And also I've always been interested in, spiritual practices and past lives in particular.
Excellent. Yeah, that was a fun one because I did a past life regression with her, Elizabeth Carson, and then we talked about it on the podcast. And it was just she's a really nice, kind, fun person, and she's helping a lot of people grow spiritually with her account and all these things she's doing. So,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and what would you say to someone who's on the fence? They're maybe hesitant. They don't know if they should do it or not. What would you just say to them?
I would say if you're interested in it, you should go for it. Your energy is so great, and I feel like your energy is so pure and aligned, and there's just absolutely nothing to be worried about because it's like a step-by-step process with somebody like you who has such wonderful, like, like, you have, like, a lightness, about you energetically. So, it's kinda just taking you through, like, if you would have listened to a guided meditation on YouTube or whatever, you're not in a different state of consciousness that I experienced. You're just in your bed, you're relaxing, and you're listening to this, step by step meditations type of thing. And then you just go into a world of imagination, I think. But what you pull up is so relevant to what you needed to see from the past lives. So, yeah, I don't there's no reason to be worried. And I think a lot of people when they hear like the word hypnosis or whatever, they get a little bit worried, but there's absolutely nothing to be worried about. It was actually very calming and invigorating, and it releases a lot of the negative energy that you're holding within you. So that's always been my goal to like release, the toxicity, release what's holding you back so you can find your highest self. And I think through something like this, it really allows you to become more aligned with like who you want to be and your highest version of self by releasing those traumas that no longer serve you.
Very elegantly stated. Very, very well said. Yeah, very much appreciate those words, and I think people listening will as well. And any final words, any final thoughts for anyone else about the process, about
I
Jonathan, about anything?
it was really just such an enlightening experience. I'm so happy that I chose to book the session. I've been telling a select few people in my life about it, and they're all just like blown away. And I'm so happy I did it. Like, I wanna do more now, and it just really releases things within you that you don't even know that you're holding on to. So, some things you're like, "Why can't I do this or whatever?" A lot of times, like, just like it's not always your own energetics, sometimes you're taking on other energetics from other people. Sometimes it might be other lifetimes if it's something that's, like, really a theme, and I think with this, a lot of that was. So, I would say go for it. Like, you have nothing to worry about it, you have nothing to fear. Like I said, your energy is so positive and good and pure, it's of light. So, it's like you really don't have anything to lose. You only have something to explore and something to gain and something to realize about yourself.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate you so much, and
Thank you.
you're welcome. And everyone out there will share this, and just can't thank you enough, Alex. Thank you so much.